All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I am Is There No One Else? And the video I'm bringing you today, I wanted to talk about the Nightblade surprise attack changes. I covered it in the PTS, or for the patch notes, and I've waited to talk about this, and I wanted to talk to you guys about why, because, you know, there's some conflicting points, and now after actually playing Nightblade, I have some better informed opinions. So, for those of you guys that watched those patch notes, they came out, and surprise attack no longer has to function from stealth to stun you or set you off guard. You only need to hit somebody from their flanks, and so that's from your shoulder to your back around your other shoulder. So if it's like a clock, it's like your 3 o'clock around your 6 o'clock to your 9 o'clock. So as long as you're flanking them from the side or behind, you can stun them and set them off balance without cloaking. And so this is actually a substantial buff because there's a lot of AoE abilities that pull you out of stealth. For those of you guys that know and watch me play Stamina Nightblade on PC, I've been running around with 400 CP, 500, and now I'm at 675. I haven't had enough CP to really invest in the Tactician passive. And so I took Shadow Image off so that I could use my Shadowy Disguise in order to guarantee more stuns from stealth. And it gets hard countered by, you know, literally anybody. You know, if I get hit by jabs, if somebody throws caltrops, if somebody is a Stam Sork, you know, there's so many sorts of AoE things that pull you out. Grothar, before you can get in and get the stun, it's very problematic. And so I looked at it and I was like, wow, that's going to be very effective. And then I went into the Discord and I talked to some very good Nightblades in my Discord who I respect, and I respect their opinion on it. And they said that those changes are a nerf. And it kind of caught me off guard, you know, and I was very surprised, but I respect their opinion. I want to hear them out. And they basically said that, you know, and I'm going to paraphrase this, but most current Nightblades do not run Mass Hysteria on their bar. Due to the global cooldown of abilities, due to the cast times on in-cap and the delayed burst of Spectral Bow, trying to use Mass Hysteria is going to be harder to land kills than it is to just wait for 120 ult with in-cap and then hit the in-cap. So if I hit with a Mass Hysteria, I have to wait a second before I hit my in-cap, and then I have to wait another second before I can before I cast my Spectral Bow. And so it's at least 3 seconds before all those things go off in succession. If I take off Mass Hysteria and I just go in-cap into Spectral Bow, it's now 2 seconds. And so I've cut some time off it, and it ensures that I'm able to land my burst more successfully. You guys, I've posted multiple clips on my channel of people dodging. You know, after I Mass Hysteria, they're able to CC break and dodge roll. Mercy had a really fun clip a while back where he was talking about Magblade. He was playing his Magblade, and he literally feared and went to hit the Soul Harvest, and the guy dodge rolled before it landed. And he's like, "What the heck is this?" And that's the life of a Nightblade. You know, the 400 millisecond cast time is a very long time to have people land. And so if you're using fear, a lot of these players are going to block and heal, or block and dodge roll, and you're not going to land your burst successfully, and you're just going to have a hard time killing people. And so the argument about this skill having the stun on it from out of stealth is, they said, you know, if it's super laggy, if the game latency in Harrowstorm still exists in Greymoor, if you don't know exactly where the player is and how they're facing and how they're targeted, you're going to randomly stun people. And so it's going to function in the same way as Mass Hysteria is. So you're going to land a stun when you don't want to, and you're going to get upset because you were waiting for your in-cap and your bow proc, and it's going to delay fights, it's going to make it slower, and all those other sorts of things. And I agreed with that. You know, I actually agreed with that point of view. And I was like, well, if they can fix performance to where the skill delay, and if the player targeting is a little bit better, we all know what happens. Like, sometimes when it's really laggy, you die, and then you look at your death recap and you see a leap, and then you see the animation from the leap while you're in your death recap. Like, there's huge delays. And so the delays don't just apply to casted skills, it also applies to where the players are. Sometimes they'll say target out of range. Like, target out of range is one of the biggest issues in Harrowstorm, where it looks like you're in front of somebody, but their character is actually somewhere else, and it says target out of range. And so if it's like that, you're not going to have a good time trying to coincide burst with the skill, because you don't know where the player's looking, you don't know where it's landing, and you're going to have, you know, just a difficult time PvPing. Like, Nightblade is one of the harder classes to play in lag, because you need your light attacks to land in order to proc a big portion of your burst, and if your light attacks aren't landing, you're not going to have burst. I was curious about it, and so I waited to see, and I this is from the Friday stream, and I noticed like it took a little getting used to, but where people are is a lot more consistent now. And I'm going to do a video on performance because we've had some fluctuating issues. I want to give it I want to give it at least a week, guys. The patch came out on Tuesday and it's only Saturday right now, so I'm going to give it a few more days before I do that video. But on Friday, when I was playing, where the players were facing is where they were actually facing. And so every time I attacked somebody from their flank, it stunned them. I didn't have to worry about them actually being somewhere else and the skills not firing and saying target out of range. I actually had a very enjoyable PvP experience on Friday, and it was a lot of fun. And what I found personally is that it is, in fact, really nice. It wasn't delaying my burst. Like Nightblades, if you're burst, if you're going to go with if you guys go and watch Grim Hollow on Twitch, and if you don't, you should, because he's a really good Nightblade and he talks through everything and he kind of shows you what he does. Definitely go check that out. But a lot of his burst combinations versus somebody that's very tanky, he'll go into the in-cap spectral bow and execute. And so he'll get the knockdown with the bow, with the execute, and he'll try and hit you with as much burst as possible. But it's obviously very effective. That still exists. That sort of fighting still exists. But again, squishier opponents, you don't necessarily have to build up 120 ultimate anymore. I can hit a surprise attack from somebody's flank. If I hit hard enough with a heavy attack surprise attack and I take 10 to 15k health, if I have my spectral bow up, I can just proc a spectral bow. So I can stun you, hit you with a bow and an execute. I don't need my ultimate combination to kill you anymore. So now Nightblades have better access to their toolkits. If you want to play a brawler, no stealth blade, and you want to utilize dark cloak instead of shadowy disguise, you don't have to try to use turn evil and just have no stun, or you don't have to utilize the tactician passive. You just need to be able to flank somebody to get that stun, and it's a lot more effective. It's a lot more reliable than what it used to be. Like I said, there's a lot of things that pull you out of stealth, and so sometimes, as my lower CP Nightblade was, I was hard countered by just some classes where I just couldn't CC them. I couldn't drain their resources. I couldn't do anything, and it was it was a little annoying. I'm not gonna lie, but that's what it is. That's the way Nightblade is sometimes. What this does is it just gives you more counterplay to other different specs. Basically, I don't need to worry about a Stamsork always pulling me out of stealth and I can't CC them. I don't need to worry about a Magplar in the rune that does damage always pulling me out. Every time I don't have to cloak to go in and get my stun, telegraphing that I'm going to try and stun. You know what I mean? So that's how I used to be able to see it when I was like a Magplar or a Mag DK or a Stam DK. If all of a sudden I saw a Nightblade and I was fighting him and I saw him cloak, I just hold block. Because I'm like, okay, well, either the in-cap or the surprise attack's coming, I'm just going to neutralize this. He can't go through block anyways. If he really tries to use Mass Hysteria on me, I'm going to CC break and I'm going to neutralize his burst combination anyways. And so Nightblades were just traditionally hard countered. And, that's just what I experienced. That's just, If you guys disagree with me, that's cool. Just tell me where you're coming from. If you don't see that, that's more than fine. But yeah. So those are my thoughts. Those are my thoughts. And after testing it, I was like, wow. I can still do the full in-cap spectral bow combination. You see, I hit that guy. I stunned him just off the little flank there, and then we hit him with a heavy burst. You now just have more avenues for damage, and as long as it's not laggy, as long as players are where they say they are, and you don't have these targeting issues, I think Nightblade got better. And I don't think that's a very controversial statement. I love to hear other Nightblade thoughts after actually testing it and everything, but you still get to keep your old combination, and now you get to add more combinations to it. Maybe you do a surprise attack into an in-cap, or maybe you keep your in-cap and then you just I don't know. There's a few different combinations you can do, and I think that's awesome. I think it's awesome to have that versatility. But my concern, like I said, my concern with this ability is a year ago, Nightblade got the pretty big nerfs before the cast times and ultimates. They came out and they got rid of minor berserk on our spectral bow, and they gave us minor the 10% damage mitigation, which is actually stronger. Like Nightblade should be the burst class, but they gave him damage mitigation, which now I honestly don't know who has more damage mitigation, Nightblades or Necromancers. I think it's Nightblades. I think Nightblades have the most damage mitigation in the game because they have minor maim and they have access to this 10% that they can stack with other things, so you can stack undo on it and everything. Necromancers have major protection. I guess it's Necromancers, but Nightblades are right there. Like it's kind of ridiculous that they have so much damage mitigation. But yeah, like this surprise attack change, it used to give you major fracture on your spammable, and they got rid of that because they said, Mark already has, major fracture to it. We don't want to have the same buffs on multiple abilities. And it's like, okay, well, why don't you keep major fracture on surprise attack? Like, what's the big deal about it? And they didn't, and they gave us a different ability for it, to where now it's it's the percent mitigation. It's 5% of your overall resistances, which for some people it's a buff and for some people it's not. And yeah, it was just a weird change. And now they've come out with this. So now a surprise attack from a flank now stuns you and it sets you off balance. And then you also get minor berserk attached to it, because if you're any stamina class in the game, you're running minor berserk already. Like there's very few people that aren't running Camo Hunter. And so you have this huge synergy. And as I said in my video yesterday, I'm also running stun. And so stun works by giving you 5,300 pen when you set somebody off balance. And so I get 50. So with this specific build, obviously it's a 5-piece set. Obviously I'm stacking into it with a skill and a 5-piece set, but it's actually just a very strong synergy. It's a very strong synergy to have the pen, the off balance, the 10% more damage, all these things on a spammable, and it just leads me to believe, like, okay, well, if major fracture was overtuned, which I don't think anybody agreed that it was, but if major fracture is overtuned, isn't this better? Like, and I'm not saying it's not needed. Like, trust me, Nightblades, like we definitely needed buffs, in my opinion. Like, we definitely needed access to abilities to kill people better. But my concern is that this is just going to get complained about, and then it's going to get nerfed in like a patch or two. And so when I first saw it, I was like, really, guys, come on, don't do this to us. Don't give us this really nice buff, and then come out later and take it away from us. Like that's kind of how I looked at it. So those are kind of my thoughts. I definitely think it's nice. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in general. I definitely think. I think Nightblade is a lot more versatile as far as the people that it can kill. It's a lot quicker. It's a more fun play style now, which is great. Like all classes should have better versatility. Now we need to look at things like Magic and Necromancer. We need to look at things like Magical Warden and make sure that they have the burst that they need to kill people 1v1, because they're a little lacking. I need to look at Mag DK as well. But I haven't tested those this patch. We got a lot of damage changes, and dots seem to be a little bit more effective with healing lore, but that's neither here nor there. But anyways, I'm going to leave that here. If you guys have any questions or comments about Surprise Attack, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. I'm pleasantly surprised by the changes. I'm pleasantly surprised by what it's actually giving. But I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts too. If you guys have been trying it and you don't like it for a specific reason, I'd love to hear it, because we're all different people. We all experience different things. Maybe you have a different play style where you're not enjoying it. But hopefully this was as all inclusive as possible. But I'm going to end this video here. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.